The success of tomorrow's soy industry depends on the actions we take today. The future is here, and the time to move is now.
Market Journal Television for Agricultural Business Decisions is a presentation of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources in partnership with the Nebraska Rural Radio Association. Promotional support provided by the Nebraska Farmer Magazine and partial funding provided by the Nebraska Soybean Board and the Nebraska Corn Board.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today on Market Journal. I'm Bryce Duskett. On today's broadcast, we're going to be taking a brief pause from our mission. Of course, that's sharing information for agricultural business decisions. Instead, we're bringing you this Market Journal special, an in-depth look at a unique entrepreneurship program located at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Let's go back to March 1st of 2010. The Paul and Virginia Engler Foundation donated $20 million to the university. More than a decade later, the effects of that donation are being felt all across Nebraska and beyond. The funds created the Engler Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Program within the Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources. The program's namesake was born in Stewart, Nebraska. He's a graduate at the University of Nebraska, and he went on to become one of the most legendary cattlemen in the United States. Back in 2010, Engler said it was important to him that this program identify young people who have the fire in the belly and then expose them to curriculum that teaches risk, how to evaluate it, and how to manage it. Engler said if you do not take risks as an entrepreneur, you're not going to make it. Today we're going to learn all about the Engler program, and over the next half hour we'll hear from program staff as well as current students. Well, let's begin by welcoming in Hallie Ramsey. She's an alumni of Engler and she serves as the Chief Mindset Development Officer. Hallie, good to have you here on the program. Great to see you. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me in the studio.
So what is Engler?
Engler is a program at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln on East Campus, and our mission is to embolden our people on the courageous pursuit of their purpose through the art and practice of entrepreneurship. And so we really focus on trying to create opportunities for our students to understand how they can define and ideate entrepreneurship as a pathway, certainly while they're in college, but even their post-grad experience too.
Well, with you here today, Hallie, I want to get an idea of what that looks like during the college experience. But first, how many students are part of this as we speak today?
We have over 200 students in the Engler program currently with our undergraduates, and then we have over 300 alumni all across the state.
Okay, so for those students actively engaged, we're going to hear from some younger members of Engler, but what's their pathway look like as they're making their way through this experience?
Yeah, so Engler, first and foremost, we see ourselves as a community, and so we have a ton of different opportunities and events that we offer, but they can also take courses to be a part of the Engler minor program. So we have 4 core classes. That is the 101 class, and then that talks a lot about your entrepreneurial mindset. 201 is the $50 business, and then 388 and 488 are our last 2 core classes, and those focus a lot more on the business planning, finances, all the fun stuff later on.
It sounds like for a student coming into the university, you can take them from entrepreneurship is a mindset all the way through perhaps building out a business plan. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. And so like I said, really those first core experiences that we try to give our students when they come to the university is to be able to institute a growth mindset into them. So not only just thinking about how to generate profit, but how do you identify a problem, come up with a solution, and then make it marketable wherever you go. And so our tagline is that we build people who build businesses who go on to build communities. And that's something that we hold very close to our hearts and something that we try to integrate into everything that we do.
We're going to spend some time talking about that 101 class in a moment, but you mentioned this $50 business concept. What's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, it's very self-explanatory. Like I said, it's a second core class, and so students, after they take 101, they go to 201, and we give them $50 to start a business from scratch in a semester. I think that the current record is over $4,000 in revenue. So, yeah, and they get to keep the profit and everything. We just tell them that it has to be something they wouldn't be embarrassed to tell their grandma about, and that it is legal. So we really give them free rein.
You were part of the Engler program before you
Yes.
came on staff here. What was your experience like?
Wow, I mean, Engler has just been such a pivotal community for me through all facets of my life. I was able to be a part of a lot of different experiences. I was on the exec team when I was an undergrad, and so it's been very cool to kind of see how the program has evolved from our time in Miller Hall now into the Dinsdale Learning Commons. So I'm very grateful to be a part of it now as a staff member.
One of the things you worked on as a student is a letter of intent. Students, I understand, recently signed that. What's that?
Yeah, the letter of intent was intended to kind of answer the question of how do we quantify who is a part of the Engler community. And so it is a ceremony where we truly have a letter for individuals to sign once they decide that they want to be a part of the Engler community. We do this once a semester and invite students who want to sign to have an Engler advocate who is an upperclassman that wants to kind of journey through the experience with them. And once they sign that letter, they have 24/7 access to our space and our maker studio. But really, it's an opportunity for them to officially declare that they're on this pathway of entrepreneurship and that they are going to challenge the status quo, not only in their college or undergraduate experience, but throughout the rest of their lives. And they have a community to go through that with.
Community is a big deal. I think one of the things that is going to resonate with our viewers and one of their takeaway messages they're going to hear over the next several minutes is this program's a bit different than a typical academic program out there at any university. What makes Engler most unique? What's the biggest differential factor, I guess?
Yeah, I think that we just really focus on getting our students experiences. And so we don't do a lot of case study work, or we are definitely not a true academic program. We don't have tests or rubrics. I don't know if that's okay to say, but we really focus on getting our students off the sidelines and into the game of entrepreneurship. And so any of our classes, they're actually going out and building the businesses. They're not only talking about that idea, they're going out cold calling, building those plans, and really enacting change in their communities right here, right now, because they have the network and the opportunity to do that.
Well, I really appreciate the overview you gave us, and don't go far because we're going to have you back here in a few moments on the program. I want to tell you that each student that joins the Engler Entrepreneurship Program, again, located at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, they go through an introductory course. It's called Engler 101. You heard me reference that. Within Engler, they believe that each person is born with a unique purpose to fulfill. This course is about seeking that purpose and determining how entrepreneurship may fit that purpose. During the course, students receive guidance from what are known as trail guides. Joining us now is one of those mentors. Sydney is here. Sydney, how did you discover the Engler program?
Yeah. So I originally grew up just outside of Lincoln in Unadilla, and I actually had a neighbor who was an alumni of the program and really had a successful business and has had some good luck throughout the Engler program. And I originally toured Engler when I was a junior in high school, but ended up choosing an out-of-state school. And soon after getting there, I realized that it was a little bit not the experience that I was expecting, and I was looking for that community and aspect that felt like home. So after my first semester, I transferred to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and I had a friend that I went to high school with that kind of gave me that nudge into the Engler program and really opened my eyes to experiences that it could lead for me in the community aspect that it held. And soon after that, I joined my first semester of my sophomore year.
Okay, so you kind of see what this is all about. What pushed you over the edge to say, yes, this is a community I want to be part of?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about $50 venture that class. I attended Demo Day, which is the final presentation for that class, and I was able to see students and all of the businesses that they were able to build throughout that semester. So I was really kind of caught up in comparison of, these students are doing these great things. How do I see myself playing into that? So students range businesses of all kind, little passions, little knickknacks, little trades, all the way up to new business ideas that could take over a new aspect of the industry. And I was able to see all of their passions and see how that played into their businesses and how that played into their future. And then I also played into the community aspect, where I originally transferred away from a school that didn't feel like home, came back to the University of Nebraska and realized that the Engler community is definitely a place that is home to me, and there's always people there who are welcoming me.
So you're part of this, helping shape the minds of some of the young folks going to the Engler 101 course. What's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a really cool experience, and really been able to see those, majority of those students are freshmen. Seeing them come from high school, see that transition into their first semester of college, and seeing their mindset shift throughout that time. So at first they kind of have surface level responses and we ask them some personal questions, and throughout the semester I've really been able to see them grow personally themselves, but also in the entrepreneurial mindset.
So when you think of entrepreneurship, there's always a lot of debate whether entrepreneurs are born or created. It sounds like this concept, you can shape and mold people's thoughts and perspectives and get them to that point throughout the course of 4 years or so. Going through the 101 course, though, what are some of the thoughts or some of the questions you're asking these students and the exercises they're going through?
Yeah. So we kind of break down the course and we really ask them, what do you want to pursue in life? And some of those students start out with, well, I want this job, I want this career, and this is how I want my exact life to lay out. And realistically, that's not going to happen. So asking those students, what is your purpose in life? What do you truly want to do with yourself? And then also, some students come in without a true idea of what their passions really are. And through that first semester, we'll kind of challenge them to say, like, what truly are your passions? And potentially, how could that play into a business in the future?
These are some big questions to ask some young people that are coming through the Engler program. The responses you hear, you talked about how they evolved throughout the semester. You and I have this conversation today, sitting late November, coming into the tail end of your experiences. You talk about the shift from, as you come into, as you're getting ready to conclude your time in 101. How do those answers evolve? Yeah,
it really blows my mind being able to ask them those same questions that I asked them that first week. And I've really even been able to see that from my own perspective. I've been able to dig out my old worksheets from a year ago and look at my own answers and kind of compare them to what students today are answering. So you see that growth mindset where they're really starting to dig deep in what they truly feel in themselves and how they want to see that play out in the future.
How has this experience changed your thinking?
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the leadership aspect. You can almost imagine entrepreneurship like a mountain. And as you pursue it, you climb up that mountain, and those trail guides are there to guide you as the freshmen begin their ascent up the mountain. So I've been in their shoes, I've been able to see their own experiences, and now I have the other side of the role where I've experienced myself and I get to help them as they begin that climb.
Well, we get to meet a couple of those students coming up next. But Sydney, I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you for doing so.
Thank you very much.
Joining us now, a pair of students currently involved in the Engler 101 course. That is Lance Jones and Marin Toole. Thank you both for making the time. Lance, let's begin with you. What led you to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and ultimately to the Engler program?
Yeah, so I grew up in Stapleton, Nebraska, right above North Platte on the interstate, 30 miles. So I grew up on our family ranch there. I'm fifth generation. It was established in 1901. So I have a couple older siblings, but going down to Lincoln, I had 3 older siblings ahead of me to go to Lincoln, but none of them were actually in the Engler program. So I guess I played football in high school, and kind of about the end, we lost in the playoffs. And between football and basketball, I came down to go and tour the university. So I kind of started on city campus, and they took me around, and we got done pretty quick. And I was like, well, like East Campus, what else do you have to see? I don't want to drive 4 hours back home. So they kind of led me around the animal science building, and then they're like, let's check out the Engler building. So I ended up going there and seeing a few people, and it was a really cool space. So I was just interested in it, and I ended up signing up for the 101 class and was ready for it the next semester. So.
Okay, and we'll come back and talk about that. But first, let's get to know Marin a little bit better.
Of course.
How about yourself? What led you to the university?
Yeah, so I grew up on a family ranching, farming, and feedlot operation in Yuma, Colorado. So I went to high school out in Colorado still, so I am out of state in Nebraska. Nebraska, when I toured as a senior, there really was just nothing like it. I was able to connect with our director, Tom Field, little mutual connection. My dad, Tom was actually his advisor in college, and so I'd kind of gained some interest in the Engler program through that. And was able to come out here and visit for one of Engler's events. And when I stepped into this space, I knew it was something that I wanted to be a part of and make that a priority in my college experience. All of the values of Engler and the purpose and mission behind it was something that I really connected with and something that I wanted to be a part of.
To that point, what resonated most with you about the things that Engler has going on?
Yeah, I really just think the people behind Engler are what makes the program so special, and just the empowerment and the idea that we can have grit and really pursue something and go after something. And it's not going to be an easy journey, but the fact that there's people surrounding you and with you along that journey and just empowering you through that.
Coming into college, Marin, did you have this idea you wanted to be an entrepreneur someday? Is that why you joined, or was it just seeing this, saying, hey, I want to be part of that community?
Yeah, community was huge. Growing up in a family business, I think I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset and known it was something that I want to pursue in one way or another, but Engler just initially pulling me into the community was huge, and have been able to kind of grow more in those aspirations of entrepreneurship through my participation.
Lance, let's bring you back into this conversation. Similar question to you. Coming into college, was entrepreneurship something you said, hey, 4 years from now when I graduate, hopefully, this is a path I want to take?
So I kind of came into the 101 class just not knowing what to expect. And kind of through that, I just kind of really got into it. I didn't think I'd be that invested, but just through what we've talked about, I've just increasingly been more invested in it. But I think as well, like Marin said, I've kind of had that entrepreneurial mindset in our own family business, and it's just been fun for me to add value to our operation and exploring a potential side business or side hustle, if you will.
Mm-hmm. As you came into the 101 course, how did you think about entrepreneurship, and how has that changed?
I think it was definitely kids that don't take it are do I have to have my business ready? Coming into 101, you don't have to have a solid business ready. They're ready to coach you through that. So I think through 101 so far, it's just been, entrepreneurship is easier than most people think. It's just coming up with your solution to a problem and just executing that and trying to, at the end of the day, make people's lives easier and make a profit from that.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like a lot of this course is getting you in the right headspace and the right thinking to be able to someday pursue a business venture. What has had to change for you? What's been an aha moment of, maybe I didn't think that way and now I do?
So I think most of the classes at the university, your animal science classes, your agronomy classes, it's just based you're taking in information and you're taking tests. Engler is you're growing yourself more than learning. You're growing your morals, your values, where you want to see yourself in the future. So I think the big change there is being able to explore yourself and think about where you want to see yourself in the future is just a big difference. It just puts you in that mindset to want to accomplish something, have that drive or grit like Marin said, and just go for something that you believe in.
Marin, for you, as you think about your first day in this course versus as you sit here today, how has your thought on entrepreneurship changed?
Yeah, I think the self-reflection that we've been able to partake in throughout the course has been huge for me. It's really opened my eyes to just a different mindset of thinking, and that there is possibilities out there that are different than the traditional way of college, way of your career, and that even leans into industry-wise. There's room for change and there's room to do things differently. And so I think Engler has really helped me grow in that way, and knowing that we're not just checking boxes here, there's something bigger to what we're doing, and we can be different and do something that other people might be scared to do, or just something that's not as common.
Marin, Lance brought up the entrepreneurship mindset. How would you define that? What is an entrepreneurship mindset?
Yeah, I would say really it goes to being open and willing to change, and also being adaptable. I think throughout Engler and the 101 class, we've been given a lot of different problems and no rubrics through any of our experiences or assignments, and it's just opened up your eyes to that there is room for change and room to be adaptable and room to allow yourself to experience growth and go down a different path.
So we've talked about maybe not a structured rubric, so to speak, or a standard syllabus. We see a lot of those in your college experience. We also talked about not a lot of assignments or test taking. If we don't have those things, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Marin, we'll stick with you as part of this course.
Yeah, they kind of break up the course in two different ways. On Tuesdays, we're in more of a lecture environment with everyone in the room. We get to hear from Tom and talk through just different concepts, and really has opened our eyes to just a lot of personal development as we're kind of defining the idea of entrepreneurship and where that might fit into our lives. And then on Thursdays, we're in our cohort groups, and those were led by our trail guides that we had mentioned earlier. And so that's more of a space where we can be more individualized and have some conversations about what we're talking about on Tuesdays, and some space where we're coming up with different projects and kind of testing the field a little bit there. So that's kind of how it's been.
What have been some of the projects your group has come up with?
Yeah, so they started us at the beginning. We came up with like a cohort flag, so we worked on that. We did, something, they gave us just like a table full of different materials and ideas, and we're like, come up with a prototype, and that was the entire instructions. And so my team came up with like a toothpaste dispenser, but we saw a lot of different ideas come out of that, and so really grew our creative thinking throughout those projects.
Lance, I learned that those groups are formed based on your strengths. Everybody goes through a strengths finder assessment, and then you're paired based on those, not always with everyone's strengths aligning. How have you been able to evaluate your teammates and seen their strengths as they look, as you also look towards yours?
So like we said earlier, like learning about yourself has been really fun. So taking those different strength finder quizzes. So I'm definitely more like a leading, like achiever type of deal. And a lot of my group is too. So it's very competitive. Like we'll do certain assignments together to like highlight our strengths and weaknesses. So a lot of my group is like that. They're all leaders, they're all like achievers, the people who would normally like lead the conversation. So it's been interesting to like bounce our ideas off each other and like focus on when we're doing teamwork or group work, like how those strengths and weaknesses play into like in the business setting, like going towards that business goal. So it's been cool.
What's been your biggest takeaway from the one-on-one experience?
I would say honestly that teamwork aspect. I think in entrepreneurship we caught up in like it's a sole proprietorship. It's just your one entrepreneurship, you're one guy doing the whole business or woman. So that teamwork we stress a lot, like partnership and like community. So that's been really huge. Like learning to work as yourself and do your own business, but having partners and people to push you along the way and benefit society as a whole, really.
Aaron, how about for you? What has been your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway is just the possibilities, that there's room to do something different, and I don't think that's something I came into college really thinking. I came in with the traditional mindset of get through my classes and I'm going to get this job afterwards, and I would say that's not nearly where I'm at today, and so that's been pretty exciting.
Okay, let's round out real quick, rapid fire. What's the biggest thing you can take away from Engler as a whole program thus far? Aaron?
I would say there's room to be gritty and do things dirty, get our hands dirty, and out of that can come something really special and really different and beautiful.
How about for you, Lance?
I'd say, yeah, just doing that hard work. Hard work makes up for a lot of mistakes. So if you're willing to put in the work and go for that business idea and be all in, you're going to have success.
Lance and Aaron, thank you both very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to following the two of you and what might come of your entrepreneurship journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, as promised, we are once again joined by Hallie Ramsey with the Engler program. You hear from these students and their thoughts on entrepreneurship. It sounds like a theme here being taught is that entrepreneurship truly is a mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're a college program, and so we have students come through at the very beginning of their college careers, but we want what we teach them to extend far beyond their years at UNL. And so you're totally right. We really drive an entrepreneurial mindset, knowing that they can take that with them wherever they go, whether that be, starting a business right out of undergrad or starting a business when they're 30 or 50 years old. So we really try to instill a mindset into them that they can take wherever they go.
I imagine it can be a challenge to try to quantify the impact of the Engler program, but you all did just that a couple of years ago now and looked at how successful this program has been. The Engler program has folks all across Nebraska that are entrepreneurs and folks that are truly interested in doing this someday, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the key statistics from that impact report, over $145 million of gross revenue have been generated from Engler businesses since its inception. And what's really exciting is over 36 million of those dollars were generated in 2021 alone. And so we know that we're just at the very beginning of recognizing that economic, profit generating impact, which is certainly a piece of the puzzle because we do build businesses and we want them to create economic opportunity in the state of Nebraska and beyond that. But we are really, really proud of the mindset difference that the impact report also showcased. 86% of current students and alumni are more likely to be a founder because of their involvement in the program, which kind of shows the evidence of that mindset shift that they experience when they're a part of our community.
The Engler Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Program, embedded within the Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources, obviously the College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources too. How important is the agriculture side of this?
Absolutely. You know, the majority of our students, we have all different kinds of majors that walk through our program, but there is a strong tie to, you know, the agriculture community and just rural entrepreneurship in general. We have over 230 of our alums that are now back in the state of Nebraska, and so we know there's a strong pull in that what we're investing in our students, that they'll take back to their family operations. There's a ton of students that are from family ag operations who are from, you know, mom and pop shops or who want to go and start a business in their hometown. And so we recognize that, you know, the impact that we have been able to generate, we're very, very proud and committed to that, that impact stays like in the state. Obviously we have people go outside of Nebraska, but it's very, very sweet to see students come through the university and then be able to give back to communities in their home state.
The angle we've taken today, showcasing some of the young Engler members and their experiences thus far. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, there's a lot of resources out there too, and I hope we're able to convey that it's never too late to start a venture too. People can do this all across rural Nebraska watching today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have had some, you know, grad students, some non-traditional students come into our program, and we've been able to kind of get them started on their pathway. That's something that Nebraska, I mean, there's a ton of different resources all across the state, and so that's something that we're trying to be better at, as well as connecting students to those opportunities. And even within the university, there's all these different partnerships and pathways to entrepreneurial programs, and so we're honored to be a piece of that puzzle to offer to students, knowing that every program, you know, provides their own uniqueness, and at the end of the day, that's more value to the student experience.
If we can take one thing away from today's program, what should it be, Hallie?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I go back to that community building mentality. And so we focus on building people, knowing that the businesses will come from that. And so the self-reflection and giving young people the space to be their own, their own owners in their life, I think is the biggest thing and the biggest gift I know that I received, you know, from being a part of the program. And I hope that's the gift that we continue to give students throughout their college experience.
Well, Hallie, thank you very much for helping organize this effort, but also being part of our conversation today. We really appreciate it. Well, that is all the time we have for today's special broadcast as we focus in on the Engler Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Program at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Again, our thanks to all of our guests who joined us on today's program. I want to remind you, if you've missed an episode of Market Journal, perhaps you want to go back and watch this week's, you can do so by subscribing to Market Journal on YouTube. You can also watch our full episodes over on Acres TV. Visit the website watchacrestv.com to learn more. We'll see you back here next week. Until then, I'm Bryce Duskett, wishing you a safe and productive week.
Join Market Journal online at marketjournal.unl.edu. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Promotional support is provided by the Nebraska Farmer Magazine. Market Journal is produced by the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources.